Commanders hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. Turn Up Tuesday. That's right. Victory Tuesday has turned into Turn Up Tuesday. We got to celebrate. This is the last day before we turn our attention to Arizona. Quick turnaround. The team flew straight from Cincinnati to Arizona, didn't come back home. And so I love that focus. We'll talk more about that when we get to DQ's Turn Up Tuesday / Victory Tuesday presser a little bit later on in the show. But it was a momentous win last night. I don't have to explain to you the impact of last night's win. You can't turn on the television to any major sports station and not hear about Jaden Daniels' incredible performance last night. Guys like Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee were lauding and praising him. I'm watching the NFL Network and they're singing his praises. And, you know, you got people like Ryan Clark going bananas for him. And we know Scott Van Pelt loves him to death because he's a Commanders fan. And so you were just kind of soaking all of that in, basking in all of that. Good fortune that this team has been seeking, but somehow always, we know how, always missing, over the last 25 years, essentially. And so last night was one of those nights, man. It's hard to explain unless you're a fan of this team or a fan of a team that's been through the struggle like we have and feeling like maybe we're turning a corner and we found the guy that can take us where we ultimately want to go. Last night's performance is one of those games that could be franchise altering when it's all said and done. Now, it's one game, and we'll see how the rest of this season goes, and we'll see how they build off of this momentous win in Week 4 on the road at Arizona. But for the time being, what a win it was last night. And as I stated, and if you haven't already checked it out, there's a video already up about my day after reaction where I talked about what this win means and how it has changed and altered the perception of what this season can be. So if you're looking for more of that conversation, and I told you were going to get that conversation, that's the video you need to go see. You should be watching that video. Anyhow, that said, everything's changed. It really, truly has. But what we're going to get into here are the keys to the game and see what Washington was able to get done to achieve the 38-33 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals and get to 2-1 on the season. But more importantly, stay in first place right with the Philadelphia Eagles. So offensively, you had 4 keys. Defensively, you had 4 keys. Offensively, the first key of the game was weather the storm early. And I put the onus on the offense. Although I said both sides of the football need to come out and weather the storm, I had no confidence in the defense's ability to do that. As a matter of fact, I'm a big, win the toss, defer to the second half type of guy. And they did that, which I'm proud of them for finally winning a toss because it seems like we never win the toss. But I said, I even had a very fleeting thought. It was not one that I really gave a ton of credence to, but there was even a fleeting thought that, hey, maybe the offense should take the field first because I trust them to go down and score, whereas I know if the defense comes out on the field first, they're going to give up some points. Probably a touchdown, but maybe, just maybe, like the Tampa game, it's only a field goal. Of course, the defense gave up a touchdown, as they always do, to start the game. And so I knew the offense was going to have to bear the brunt of weathering the storm. This was an offensive thing because the defense was going to let us down. So it was going to be the job of the offense to sit those Bengals fans down and tell them to shut up, we're at work, and go down and score. And again, I can't express to you and I can't stress to you just how important DQ's decision on that first 4th down of the game on 4th and 2 to go for it, and for them to convert and match the Bengals touchdown with a touchdown was massive. It gave us all the confidence in the world, and it allowed Cincinnati to understand that they were going to be in a fight. I told you the Bengals are one of those types of teams that they're not one of these dominant bullies, right? That just comes out and suffocates you. That's not who they are. But if you allow them to jump you early, they're one of those teams that will run away from you and then pummel you, right? But they got to see that you don't have the ability to fight first. And that's what I told you yesterday on CNN, is that you got to show that you're willing to fight fire with fire. If they feel like you're no match for them, that's when they take control and that's when they overpower you. But if they see that you're going to put up resistance, they will wilter. They will falter, rather. Excuse me. They will wilt. And we showed resistance on that opening drive by going down and scoring and matching their touchdown. And from that point forward, they knew they were in a fight. And then they missed the field goal, and then we went down and scored a touchdown, and we never gave up the lead after that. We never relinquished the lead after they missed the field goal, and we went down and we scored the touchdown, right? And so big job by the offense to weather the storm early, because if they don't do that, we probably don't win the game. Next key to the game offensively, run the football and stay on schedule. While it wasn't a great night running the football, they stuck with the run. It is who we are. We have to run the football. But more importantly, we stayed on schedule. And whether that was the short, quick, pass game, or it was Jaden's legs, or it was us running the football, getting 4 yards, getting 3 yards, it kept us on schedule. Rarely were we in a 3rd and long in this game. Even when we got to 2nd and 21, right, after the false start and then the sack, we got 2 wide receiver screens to De'Ami Brown, and we got it into a 4th and 4 situation. So we stayed on schedule for the most part throughout the entire game. There weren't many 3rd and extremely longs. The 4th downs were very manageable, right? 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 4. So hats off to them for taking care of business. They get a full point, much like they did for weathering the storm early. They get a full point for running the football and staying on schedule. Next key offensively was protect the Duke and finish drives with points. And boy, of course they got a point for this, but boy, was this important, because 1 turnover, and we almost had one on the Zach Ertz fumble. Big ups to Nick Allegretti for being Nick on the spot and being where that football was, hustling and getting down on that thing and not, falling on it and having it squirt out and all of a sudden the Bengals recover. Great job of Nick Allegretti of being where he needed to be, when he needed to be there, and recovering that fumble to keep that drive alive for us. And not turning it over was huge, but scoring points, finishing drives with points was massive. And I told you, I wasn't going to just limit it to touchdowns. Like, I don't want to overreact to week 2's 0 for 6 in the red zone, because week 1, we were 3 of 3 in the red zone. And if not for the penalties, I think we would have been very efficient in the red zone again. So you go 3 of 3 in week 1, 0 of 6 in week 2, and 3 of 3 again in week 3. So I think we're more of the 3 of 3 team than we are the 0 of 6, because there were anomalies and outliers in week 2 that prevented us from getting in the end zone. We get close to the end zone, Jaden's legs become a threat, and now that read option is in demand, and now you got to defend it, and if you don't, he's waltzing into the end zone. Now you play him, we give it to B-Rob, he's getting in the end zone. You've got to make a decision, right? And then there's still the option, as we saw, he can pull it out of the belly of the back and throw the football like he did to Trent Scott. So the possibilities are endless when we get down there towards the goal line. So I like us in the red zone this year. I think we're going to be a tough team to stop down by the goal line. So finishing drives with points was massive, because, again, if we don't have the field goal, if we don't have just one of the touchdowns, we scored 5 touchdowns in this game. And if we only score 4, we probably lose. We scored on 6 possessions. All 6 of our possessions that we had the football looking to score, we scored. Had it just been 5 and you take the field goal away, we probably lose this game. Right? It was paramount that we scored on every drive, that we finished every drive with points. And we did that in this game. So obviously there's a check mark there and a point. And then lastly, on the offensive keys, hit at least 4 explosives. And I term explosives plays of 20 yards or more, and we hit 4 of them on the dot. I knew it was going to take 4. Which is why I picked that number. I didn't pick that number out of thin air. I felt like it was going to take 4 explosive plays to get it done, and we hit 4 on the dot. You had Austin Eckler's 24-yard touchdown run. Terry had 2 explosives, including a 55-yarder. Obviously, the game winner was over 20 yards as well. And then you had the 30-yard catch and run on 4th and 2 by Luke McCaffrey. So in all of those, massive plays for this team that either directly led to points or set up points. Luke's 30-yard catch and run set up the first touchdown of the game. Austin Eckler scored the second touchdown of the game. Terry's deep ball set up the third touchdown of the game. And then Terry had the game winner, right, essentially, with the deep ball. So all of those were massive plays, and you need that. If you're going to score 38 points, you need explosive plays, and we got it done in this game. So obviously a check mark goes there. Now you go to the defensive side, and obviously it was not a great night for the defense once again. The first defensive key was eliminate coverage busts and explosives. I gave them a half point here because while they did not eliminate the explosives, gave up 2 explosive plays, both Jamar Chase touchdowns, they didn't have any coverage busts, which is an improvement over the first 2 weeks where there were coverage busts galore. Guys running free, wide open with no one around them. At least on these touchdowns, there was a defender there. He just got beat, right? So nobody was running free, wide open. They did a good job of keeping pretty much everything in front of them when they were playing coverage, right? When they were playing over the top. You had a big hit by Jeremy Chin on a ball up the sideline to tight end Mike Gesicki. And so I thought the coverage was a lot better. You saw them playing a lot faster in this game to me. They were physical, but they still did not tackle as well as I would like them to. And so that's something that has to continue to get better. But I thought that they eliminated the coverage bust, and that's important. Nothing cheap, nothing deep. Make them earn it. They made Cincinnati earn it throughout the course of the night. And, of course, they still got it, but they made them earn it for the most part. Stop the run. The biggest disappointment leaving this game for me defensively is the inability to stop the run, because you got to take something away. We can't stop the pass to save our lives right now because you can't get pressure consistently. And when you do get pressure, guys are getting open, so they're getting the ball out of their hands. And then you can't play man-to-man coverage, so you can't blitz. And if you don't blitz, you're not getting pressure consistently. So it's like, one begets the other, that begets the other. It's just a tough situation to be in. But we should be able to stop the run above all else and make teams one-dimensional and then try to give yourself the best chance to get off the field on third down. If you can't stop the run and you can't stop the pass, well, damn, what good are you? What do you actually do, right? This was a bad rush offense in Cincinnati coming into this game. Third to last. They were 30th in the league in rush offense, averaging just a shade over 70 yards a game through the first 2 weeks, and we made their 2 running backs look like Pro Bowlers. It was despicable. It's disgusting to watch. And it's the same thing we saw last week against the Giants. It's sickening to watch this run defense right now. Of course, they got no credit there. Get to third and long and get off the field was the next defensive key. And clearly, they didn't do that either, right? So they get no credit here because while we did force some third and longs, we didn't get off the field, right? The Bengals were 6 of 10 on third down. That's 60%. We came into this game giving up nearly 70% of third downs. No, excuse me. We came into this game giving up, I think, nearly 62% of third downs. I think we were at 61 and some change. And we hit right on our average, 6 of 10, right? Which is just insane that we can't get off the field on third downs better than this. Just makes me sick to my stomach. And some of them, you just knew, right? Watching it, you just knew. And I told you guys, I said, there's going to be a third down in this game, third and long, with a chance to get off the field. And it's going to be a big-time opportunity, and I want to see how they handle it. And I said, I don't know what the circumstance is going to be, right? I don't know if we'll be up or we'll be down or if we got the momentum and we need to stop to get it back to our offense. I don't know what the situation will be. But I'll know when it happens, and you'll know when it happens. And sure enough, that moment happened. It was 28-13. We're up. It's 3rd and 10. We got these bastards right where we want. I think it might have even been 3rd and 11 because they threw a swing pass, and Jeremy Chin tackled the running back for a 1-yard loss. So I think it was 3rd and 11. and you got them right where you want them, and you're saying to yourself, you get this stop, and they punt us the football. They have not stopped us yet. We had 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns, and if we get a stop here, we're going to score a 5th touchdown, and we're going to go up 35-13, and this game is going to be over. And not only is the game going to be over, we're going to blow them out. Of course, too much like right. We don't like nice things. Not like that. We don't like blowouts. Got to keep it close because we don't know what a blowout looks like. Of course, 3rd and 11, we give it up. T. Higgins, wide open, easy catch at 12 yards and turns up and gets an additional 5 or 6. And I'm like, yeah, that would be that easy, right? We would be playing soft and off. We would allow him the dig route right over the middle of the field, easy catch, space to go up the field and make sure that he gets the first down. And of course, they went down the field and scored the touchdown and cut the deficit to 8 at 28-20. And we never had that shot again to blow them out. Every time we scored, they scored, right? That was the one opportunity that we had because we got the ball after halftime and we pushed it to 28, and we could have had a chance to push it to 35-13 if we could have got the one stop, and we didn't, of course. Yeah, we got no credit there for get to 3rd and long and get off the field. We just couldn't do it consistently throughout the night. 6 of 10 for Cincinnati on 3rd downs. And then lastly, defensive key, ball is life, and pressure Burrow and get him down. So I did give us half credit here. Here's why. While we didn't create a turnover, so ball is life continues to be a struggle for this defense. And we didn't pressure Burrow as much as I would have liked to, but we did sack him twice. And there were other opportunities to get him down where guys just didn't corral him. I really thought Dante Fowler Jr. had a really, really good game. And so it was good to see him show up in that manner, play the way that he did. That instills confidence in me with him in particular. So I thought we did enough to affect Burrow in that regard. But in the red zone, same thing. Got a sack in the red zone. I thought we pressured Burrow a little bit in the red zone, made things difficult on him a little bit, and on the 2-point conversion, all of that good stuff. So I think we did just enough to affect Burrow, affect the game. Again, the man had 4 touchdown passes. He threw for over 300 yards. Jamar Chase had over 100 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. So look, elite quarterbacks and elite receivers, they're going to do what those two did in the game, and especially when you're going up against a defense like ours. But to kind of neutralize everyone else, to not have everybody else go off on us, and to kind of keep those opportunities. They were 2 of 4 in the red zone, and part of that was because we got to Burrow a little bit. They get half credit for that. So when it's all said and done, 5 total points out of 8 gives you a shot to win, and that's what we did. Defense has got to come to the party, though. And this was all offense. Literally, 4 out of the 5 points came from the offense. Offense checked off every single box, and that's why we won. Meanwhile, the defense is getting half points on 2 of the 4 and none for the other 2. And so this could have been a lot, same thing with the Giants game. It could have been a lot easier of a win if certain things happened, and a lot of those certain things were on the defensive side this week. Last week, a lot of those things were on the offensive side because if they score touchdowns, the Giants can't keep up. We made that abundantly clear prior to that game. So all in all, enough was done to win. That's what's most important. But the defense has to be better, and I don't know if it's going to get that much better moving forward. So with that said, let's get to in other news. We heard from head coach Dan Quinn on his Victory Tuesday presser. Before we get to what was said, let's take a look at the snap counts from week number 3. And I haven't really had a chance to look at these, so this should be very interesting. So let's take a look at the snap counts quickly. 59 total snaps in the game, as you can see, with the offensive line. Andrew Wiley, Nick Allegretti, Sam Cosmi, Tyler Biotish all played 59 snaps, in addition to Jaden Daniels. Now, what's always interesting when we get to the offensive line, what's the snap counts for Brandon Coleman and Cornelius Lucas? First game of the season, I think it was 12. The second game of the season, I think it got up to 22. Third game of the season, now it's 29. I can't wait to watch these 29 snaps, by the way. And so what you see now here is 50-50. So we're trending towards Coleman taking over that spot And eventually now he's playing 63% of the snaps. He's playing 65% of the snaps until we get to that point where they just turn him loose. He's starting and he's playing 59 snaps like the rest of the guys and playing 100%, right? We're trending in that direction. And I'll tell you what head coach Dan Quinn had to say about Brandon Coleman in this game a little bit later on. So Lucas took one more snap than Coleman. So you see where this is heading, right? 30 snaps for Lucas, 29 for Coleman, 51% for Lucas, 49% for Coleman. So again, you see where this is heading and trending, right? Terry McLaurin, as he customarily does, played the most snaps of any non-quarterback, non-offensive lineman with 50 of the 59 snaps for 85%. Brian Robinson Jr. had to take on a little bit heavier of a load this week because of the injury to Austin Ekeler. So he had 45 snaps, which is a little bit higher than what he normally would have in a situation like this. Zach Ertz, 38 snaps. Noah Brown, 34. John Bates, 33. So you see the tight ends played a large chunk of the snaps in this game. Ben Sinnott played 26. I think that might be a season high for him. Luke McCaffrey, after being shut out last week and not being really impactful in any way, shape, or form, played 20 snaps, and they were 20 impactful snaps. De'Ami Brown, Austin Ekeler, each with 13 snaps. De'Ami Brown's presence was felt. Same could be said for Austin Ekeler before he exited the game. Jamison Crowder played 9 snaps. I think that's a season high for him. McNichols, obviously, getting his first action of the season due to the injury to Austin Ekeler, played in 8 snaps, and he had a hell of a block on that touchdown toss to Terry, the game winner, essentially. Go back and watch Jeremy McNichols' blitz pickup there, man. He back body dropped the Cincinnati Bengals defender. It was a thing of beauty. You have to go and see it. My God, that thing was awesome. So one thing I can say about our running backs is they block. Ekeler blocks, McNichols blocks. B-Rob has gotten so much better there, but he ain't doing what Eck and McNichols are doing. So I keep crying about wanting to see the young back out of Arizona. He ain't doing that. And Michael Wiley ain't doing that, right? He ain't stepping up and back body dropping a blitzing linebacker. So, yeah, I think McNichols is going to stay right where he is as the backup running back if Ekeler can't play. Olamide Zaccheaus really seeing a downturn in his opportunities. Only 5 in this game. But he did have that big onside kick recovery and took a hellacious shot, but still held on to the rock, which is huge. And then obviously Trent Scott with one memorable snap that we will never forget on the touchdown grab, the first of Jaden Daniels' career. He only played 1 snap, but he made that 1 snap count big time. So we go from the offense's snap count to the defense's snaps. And so 62 total snaps in the game, as you can see. Bobby Wagner, Benjamin St. Juste, Mike Sainristil all played all 62 snaps. So 100% for those 3. Quan Martin, the next in line at 60 snaps, 97%. Jeremy Chin, 55 snaps, 89%. Frankie Louvu, this is probably the lowest percentage of snaps I've seen from him, 53, but he plays so hard, right? But that's good for 85% of the snaps. Noah Igbenogany played a ton in this game, obviously, and I think he's going to play even more moving forward unless they get Emmanuel Forbes back, and it feels like Forbes might be back next week. So we'll see. He played 52 snaps, 84%. The Bama Wall, Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne respectfully played 46 and 45 snaps. Good for 74 and 73%, which is what I told you they should be right around that low 70% mark, high 60s, low 70s, somewhere in there. Dante Fowler Jr., this was by far and away the biggest percentage of snaps he's played all season at 63%. He was in for 39 of the snaps with no Cleveland Farrell, and I thought he was very effective in this game, right? He was the best edge rusher that we had in this game, and it really wasn't close. Dorrance Armstrong played 35 snaps, 56% for Dorrance Armstrong. Percy Butler played 29 snaps, which is just a shade under 50%. Newton played 21 snaps, so I think this was a bit of an uptick. I think he played in 15 snaps or so, 14, 15 last week. So ramped him up to 21. And by all accounts, he handled it well and looks good. And they're going to continue to do like they've done with Brandon Coleman and kind of work him along. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, shout out to Javonte Jean-Baptiste for his first career NFL sack. He had 19 reps out there, 31%. But the sack and then the sack celebration was epic. He took the belt off and put belt to ass. It was fun to watch. And I got a pic of Frankie Louvu standing behind him, cheesing like a proud papa, watching him beat the tackle, right? Take his belt off and yeah. So Javonte Jean-Baptiste, man, I'm happy for the Golden Domer getting in there and getting to the QB. For Darian Mathis, 18 snaps. Jamin Davis, after not being active a week ago as a healthy scratch, was activated this week due to the Cleveland Farrell injury. And 15 snaps for him. And then Andre Jones Jr., who was really the biggest beneficiary of no Cleveland Farrell, because Jamin Davis, I think, was going to be up because they didn't have as many defensive tackles up this week. But Andre Jones Jr. was the guy that was brought up because of no Cleveland Farrell. He had 9 snaps, and he actually had a good tackle, and he was so excited he tripped over his own feet. But I digress. So let's get to Dan Quinn's Victory Tuesday presser quickly. He started by talking about the win, obviously, and the decision to travel straight to Arizona. He said that he started off with some really profound shit. He said, look, man, this season has a chance to be a roller coaster ride. And although roller coasters are extremely fun, he said they're fun as hell, you don't want to ride the emotional highs and lows of an NFL season. We're coming off of a big win on the road, and there's this emotional high. We don't want to come down from that high. We want these guys to not hear all of that noise. We don't want them going home and allowing everyone to tell them how great they are. We want to stay in this moment. We want to stay in this bubble. We've insulated ourselves. We're around each other. We're building that brotherhood and that bond. We want to feed off of each other's energy, and we don't want the outside noise. So we're not going to go home. Instead, we're going to go straight from Cincinnati to Arizona, stay here for the week, practice because it's a quick turnaround, and we're going to prepare for the Arizona Cardinals right here in Arizona. And so I think that's a genius move. I don't know if I've seen anybody here do that in quite a long time. I think Gruden might have done it once. The Shanahans may have done it, but it's not something we hear about very often about a team going from one destination. That's some NBA Major League Baseball shit. You don't hear that in the NFL because there's such a large gap between games. There's a full week. So generally speaking, you're not going to go somewhere and stay there for the duration of a week in preparation for a game. You're just going to go back home, sleep in your own bed, go through your normal routines, and then hit the road, the day before the game and arrive. But in the case of the Cardinals game, they decided to just go straight from Cincinnati to Arizona. And I love the decision. And he said, by doing that, we stay off of the roller coaster. We don't allow them to have this euphoric high and then come back down, crashing to earth. We keep them in this space. We keep them with this confidence around one another and see if we can't parlay that into another victory. He also talked about Jaden Daniels' performance. He called it exceptional. And he said that, I hate to keep using the word poise. I can't think of a better phrase to use when describing Jaden. He's like, I was so pleased with him in those big moments to be able to continue to play the kind of football that we've seen him play. He talked about not playing for any other name but the one on the back of the jersey in terms of not allowing the pressure to get to him or comparisons that are being made to guys like Lamar Jackson to get to him. And he said, he can only be the best version of himself. And that's what we're trying to get him to. But he said the last thing we want him to do is be worried about these comparisons, trying to live up to something and, putting too much undue pressure on himself. He's like, I know how big of a win this is for the fan base. And I'm glad he acknowledged that because it was. And he said, but we got to keep him grounded and let him understand that, we're a full team and we got his back and it's a brotherhood and he doesn't have to do it alone. Although he was, ridiculously good last night. And he said that, when it's all said and done, this team has a chance to, be really good, but we got to do the little things correctly. And last night, we stayed away from the penalties. He said their mindset was they had to go in there being aggressive. And you could see, right? He said, we went in with the mindset of we knew we had to score points. We knew we were going to have to match their intensity. They went out and scored right away on the opening drive. And so my mindset was we need to match that. And when we got to the 4th and 2, it was no doubt we were going to go for it. And so he said that was a big, play in the game, obviously, to convert that, then go score. And from that point forward, they knew what the mission was. So, and they went in with that mindset, right? They weren't going in there to try to be competitive. They were going in there to win. And they executed that, right? He talked about Brandon Coleman, and he said, one of the things that they wanted to continue to work with him on as he was out for so long is getting that technique back, right? The technical work. Because his injury was an upper body injury, he wasn't as technically sound in terms of his hand placement, shooting his hands off. He wasn't able to do those things. So they didn't want to just throw him back out there. And so they're continuing to work him in. But he said they were really pleased with his 29 snaps. And although he gave up the one pressure, they were very, very excited by what they saw from him. And he said that the arrow is definitely trending up for Brandon Coleman. So I think they're getting closer and closer to just pulling off the entire training wheel set and just rolling them out there. I think they're getting very close to doing that, right? And then he talked about the guys being happy for one another, being happy for Terry, and Olamide Zaccheaus not getting a lot of touches, but him being happy for Noah Brown and for Terry, and then having that big onside kick recovery. And he didn't talk as much about the defense. Obviously, it's got to get better, but he acknowledged the fact that this was a big win, and a lot of it came from the offense's doing, essentially. He mentioned Austin Eckler, said, hey, we don't have a real report on him right now, but he flew back to VA, and he's going to, get into the concussion protocol. He also said he had a laceration on his ear to go along with that concussion. So he's going to go through the protocol, and he said he'll have more information towards the end of the week. Again, I don't think he's going to play in the game this week, and that's okay, right? But largely, he was excited about the win, excited about, all the good things that are being said about Jaden, but he wants to make it abundantly clear that the mission hasn't changed, and we got to stay locked in. And he was pleased with the lack of turnovers. He was pleased with the lack of penalties and mistakes and the self-inflicted wounds. He was really happy to see how locked in we were on the offensive side of football. But he knows that this defense has to be better. That was the essential take away from the press conference. So he's happy to be 2-1, but he's already looking towards Kyler Murray and the threats that he poses and they pose. And so he knows it's going to be a tremendous challenge, and they're looking forward to it. So we'll have more on DQ and Jaden Daniels as the week progresses. Matter of fact, we'll probably hear from both of those individuals tomorrow as they get to the first day of the work week, and we turn the page to Arizona. But that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Quick announcement, NFC East Super Friends tonight at 9 o'clock. So it is September 24th. For those of you who might be watching this on playback, the Super Friends stream is on Tuesday, September 24th at 9 p.m. And so looking forward to y'all joining me, turning up with me. Bring your drinks, bring your glass, all right? Because you know what time it is. It's going to be one of those nights. We turning up. It's a party. And you already know what I'm about tonight. So they're going to hear my mouth. All right. Bad Dog already said, hey, what are we going to do with Louie T tonight? Because he's going to be insufferable. They already know what it is. So I'm looking forward to making sure I live up to the hype. But that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. Celebrate! We are in first place at 2-1 with a chance to remain in first place with a win on the road against Arizona. We will watch the film tomorrow, and we will put this Bengals game behind us and turn the page to Arizona. Quick turnaround, and I'm ready for all of the smoke. Let's get it. Anybody, anywhere, anytime, we took care of business. I'm excited. Let's get it. See you guys next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 30.